Hello, my name is Catrice Miller, and welcome to my LinkedIn Live Lunchtime series. Today, we are going to talk about something that is incredibly important in building your career strategies and taking your career to the next level, and that is the topic of networking. But first, before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about me for those of you who are not familiar with me. I have some notes here that I'm going to be looking at just so you know when we get into our topic, just so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So I want to make sure we cover everything. So first, about me. I'm a career and business coach. I have been in the industry for 27 years, having served in senior level roles with Fortune 500 companies, top law firms, as well as the federal government and state government as well. With all that experience, that allows me to do things that a lot of coaches can't provide. Not only do I provide you with career strategy, I also provide you with business expertise and knowledge on how to navigate that career once you actually land that job. So that's what makes me positioned to be the best person to give you this advice today. And today we're going to dive into this very important topic of networking strategies. Let's talk about why this is so important. Let's start with being real. First of all, the job market is tough. Honestly, any coach that doesn't acknowledge that is really not only out of touch, they're doing a disservice to you and your journey by not acknowledging this. This is a reality. The job market is definitely tough. But when things are tough, I've learned in my 27-year career, you have to focus on the things that you can control. I've survived recessions, 9/11, layoffs, personal tragedies. I've survived all that utilizing the strategy of understanding that some things are going to be outside of my control. And if I stress over those and focus on those, I'm never going to succeed. So instead, what I choose to focus on are the things that are in my control. And those things include your thoughts, your mindset, your efforts, and your strategy. By focusing on these things, this will help you navigate this space, and it will help you show up bigger, better, and bolder than you possibly could have done without having that focus intact. And what you also have to understand in this current job market, we can no longer afford to go about this status quo, meaning doing what used to work or doing what's considered to be average. You have to show up better than the competition, more prepared than your competitors, and making sure that you are doing everything in your power to think outside the box and think of strategies that are going to help you win in this economy and this job market. So remember, it's not just about effort, it's about bringing the strategy that's going to help you win and succeed in the long run. So taking that into consideration, let's talk about networking. Let's start by looking at why is networking such a difficult thing. One thing is that most of us aren't used to doing it. That's simple. A lot of people just don't focus on networking, or perhaps they network when it's only deemed to be important or time to do so. And that's a huge mistake. Networking is an ongoing process that you should always be engaged in. And here are the two biggest obstacles that most job seekers tend to find. Number one, they have limited access to decision makers. So they don't have the direct face-to-face contact with recruiters, executives, and industry leaders and insiders. And because of that, it limits their ability to expand their career. Also, so many people are stuck networking online. One of the great things about our online system now is that it provides a great means of convenience. But the downside to that is that because of the on-screen component of networking, we're not used to getting up and leaving the computer and going outside and going and meeting people like we used to do, dare I say, the old days in our career. That's a lost art form that is extremely critical to your success. So let's talk about how we can alleviate that and how we can succeed in this particular area and enhance our networking capabilities. So let's look at, I'm going to turn to my banners here. Let's look at what is the number one networking opportunity you are missing, and that is going to be Conferences. Yes, conferences. Conferences are so amazing, and they are the number one networking opportunity. And I'm going to give you 4 reasons that support this theory. Number 1, conferences double your chances for success. At a conference, you can show up as an attendee or as a speaker. So it increases automatically before you even engage in the opportunity and the networking opportunity. It increases your chances by 50% because you have 2 avenues that you can explore for networking possibilities. The second reason this is the number one networking opportunity is that conferences cover every industry. Rarely do you see networking opportunities that you can apply to any job and any career. And with conferences, I can almost bet you can find a conference for anything, whether it's a medical conference, whether it's in law, whether it's in hairstyling, whether it's in yoga, whatever your practice area, your interests lie, there's going to be a conference that covers it. So that's great. That's a great opportunity and a great benefit to attending conferences. Number 3, conferences give you a dual benefit in that you actually show up to network, but you also learn at conferences. This is key because most networking opportunities give you the traditional networking benefits. But with conferences, you actually get insider industry information, and you also stay abreast of what's going on in your particular practice area and your industry. So that helps make you stay ahead of the curve and helps you in your job search process. And another great, perhaps maybe the best opportunity that comes from conferences is that this is one of the only networking tools that can actually pay you to network. So you're going to get the benefit of the networking opportunity, but you can also earn money as a speaker if you decide to do so. And this is going to propel your networking benefits, and it's going to enhance your credibility, and it helps make you a subject matter expert while also helping you to get paid. So do you see why conferences are an amazing networking opportunity and something that you really should explore? Okay, so let's next dive into, conferences is where it's at. This is what I need to do. So where do I find conferences? How do I know what type of sources or places I should look to actually find conferences? One great place to find conferences is going to be associations and professional organizations. An association is essentially a specific area of expertise where groups of people gather who are focused on that area and that particular practice group, and it's going to be able to provide you with the source of having all those people in one room who are focused on that one topic. So associations are great for that. And like conferences themselves, associations come in wide variety of types, people, so many different options with the associations and the conferences. Also, I want to encourage you to look for certification bodies. For those of you who actually are involved in a career or industry that has certification, like HR, for example, those conferences are also being held, and they have sources where you can get the information on those conferences. And you can also gain the certification that you need to maintain as well. So for sure, explore associations and professional organizations. Another great source is looking at online event platforms. This, for example, would be 10times.com. That's a global directory for trade shows and conferences. LinkedIn Events is another example of a great place that you can find online events. Even Eventbrite. Don't sleep on Eventbrite. A lot of people think Eventbrite is just for social activities, but there are a lot of professional conferences on Eventbrite as well. Another source is going to be, for you to actually look at your competitors, influencers, and speakers in your area. In this category, I encourage you to visit their pages on LinkedIn and look at their activity section. See what events they have attended, what events they've spoken at recently, and this will give you an opportunity and a guide for you to follow that and for you to look into those conferences and perhaps become a speaker or an attendee as well. You can also look at their bios. In their bios, you might find information that explains what conferences they've been at recently or conferences they plan on going on in the near future as well. All right, let's move on to our next source, and that is going to be specifically for speakers. If you are interested in speaking, you're going to search for the prompt call for proposals. Searching for this prompt, you will find opportunities for actual speaking events. There are also sources and organizations that publish lists and give you daily updates, weekly updates on organizations that are hosting events. They're looking for a call for speaker. So that's another option as well. You can actually even find search engines on the internet that can tailor your search that can find these call for proposals as well. So that's another source that you can consider. Okay, and then another one is going to be using social media. Social media is a great source for finding conferences using your hashtags. So if you want to put in hashtag conference, hashtag industry conference, hashtag summit, career development, the possibilities are endless. But these can be a great source of searching for speakers and searching for conference opportunities as well. Now, once you actually find these opportunities, I'm going to encourage you and give you a pro tip to build what I call a conference tracker. With the conference tracker, this is going to allow you to keep up to date with all this information. On your conference tracker, you should have the conference name, the date, location, the website, the audience type, the cost to attend, as well as any deadlines associated with speaking if you want to show up as a speaker. Also keep in mind, coming in as a speaker not only gives you credibility in that area and helps identify you as a subject matter expert, it's also a great way to attend the conference for free by coming in as a speaker. So something you really want to consider if that's an issue for you, or if you just want to take the advantage of attending the conference for free. Now, another pro tip on conferences that I learned through my own conference searches. I used to always go to LinkedIn and I would see a great conference, or I would see someone, one of my colleagues or one of my, friends on LinkedIn or associates who just attended a conference. And I always would say, man, I wish I knew about that conference. I would have loved to attend that conference. Here's the great thing. Conferences start so far out ahead of the conference date, actually planning the conference. I can almost guarantee the date that you see the conference, literally probably about 4 to 5 months, maybe less than that, they're going to be starting planning the next year's conference. So you really haven't missed the boat. You've missed it for this year, but the planning is going to be starting for next year really soon. So it's a great opportunity to get ahead of the curve and get on that agenda for next year. So keep that in mind if you see conferences that you're interested in. Another great thing about conferences is that so many times I've discovered this, the actual website for the conference will be similar each year. A great example is the Illinois SHRM conference. I saw previously that they have posted the Illinois SHRM conference for 2025, and the deadline had just passed. But the actual website address was 2005.ilshrm.org. I literally had to wait a few months later, and before you knew it, they had posted the new conference, which was 2006 ilshrm.org. So something as simple as paying attention to the actual website will help you stay ahead of the curve and knowing when the next conference is going to be as far as the website and the actual published materials. Okay, let's next move to what we're going to call winning strategies for attending the conference. One of the big mistakes that people make is that when they go to the conference, they attend it almost like you would attend a concert, meaning you show up, you take part in it, and you go home. I would even go one step further. Some people are actually putting in more effort in their concert appearances than they are their conference appearances. Meaning, if you're going to a conference, they're posting on social media, on my way to the conference. They're using hashtags. They're taking pictures. They're taking pictures at the conference and then at the concert. Then even after the concert, they're talking about it for days on social media. I want you to treat conferences the same way, with that same preparedness and that same enthusiasm, and applying those same three key steps, having a before, during, and after process in which you are engaging your audience and letting people know that you are either attending this conference or you are actually speaking at this conference. So let's look at some of the tips and ways we can actually prepare for this and use this strategy. Let's start with before the conference. So before the conference, you're going to want to go on social media and identify that you're actually attending. You're going to let people know that you're attending the conference using the actual hashtags that may even be provided by the conference promoter or the event planner, and actually even tagging the page. Another great thing to do before the conference is a lot of the conferences will publish lists of the speakers who are going to be there as well as the attendees. Great opportunity to jump on LinkedIn and send a quick note to someone who's in your area, in your geographical area, your practice area, or some level of commonality that you may have with this person. Send them a quick note letting them know that I will be attending the conference, would love to connect with you. Something as simple as that. I would encourage you to do that well in advance of the conference, making sure you're taking advantage of that opportunity. Now, also before the conference, we're going to want to prepare what's known as your elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch, I'm sure many of you have heard of that. That is how you describe who you are, what you do, and what you're actually looking for, either from the conference or your next career move or anything aligned with your career trajectory and your plans in that area. So first, starting with who you are. Identifying your name, maybe where you work, something in that category, what you do. You can expand on the job. You can also speak on the practice area or the industry you work on. Now, as far as what you're looking for, like I said before, we can tie it to the specific conference and talk about what we hope to gain from this conference, or we can actually expand that and talk about what we're looking for in the industry. If we're a job seeker, we can talk about, say something to the effect, I'm here to connect with leaders in the area of whatever area you're looking for, and you're looking for networking opportunities. It's so many different ways that you can say it. The key is there really is no wrong way to have an elevator pitch. The only thing wrong is not having one and meeting someone and not being able to articulate very clearly who you are and what you do. This is super important because conferences are often fast-paced events and you don't have a lot of time to connect with people in these opportunities. So you want to be prepared with your information so that it flows smoothly and that you're able to convey who you are and what you're looking for. Now, let's talk about what you can do during the conference. One of the most missed opportunities, and let me change my cue here. One of the greatest missed opportunities at the conference is that people meet people, have great conversations, and then walk away. You totally missed the boat. You should have grabbed their contact information. Well, some of you may say, well, I didn't have a pen or I didn't have a business card. The great thing is that in this digital world that we live in now, we have something great to help us with this. That's going to be our cell phones. And LinkedIn has made it that much easier by actually providing a QR code that you can create from your LinkedIn profile. You can create a QR code that you can simply just show someone, they can scan it, and you can make an instant connection. To utilize this feature, you can only get the QR code on your phone. So if you're trying on your laptop or your computer, you're not going to be able to find it. But you go into the search bar, upper right-hand corner, there's going to be a little symbol. You click there, and that will give you your QR code. But this is a great opportunity and a great resource to use for connecting with people. And then I always encourage people to save that picture of that QR code in your actual photo gallery. That way it's easily accessible. You don't have to, be clunky with it and trying to maneuver, pulling it up actually from the search bar. Go ahead and create it and actually save it so you can easily show it to people at the event. Another thing you want to do at the event, and this may sound so easy, but it's often not utilized, is actually get up and talk to people. So many people go to these conferences and do not engage with others. I want you to walk into the conference with the specific intent that I am going to step outside my comfort zone and go walk up to individuals and start conversations. Sure, it may be awkward, but think about like what I said in the beginning of this discussion. You have to think outside the box and you have to do something that's not the norm in order to stand out in this job market. So you're going to need to take that extra step, go that extra mile, and engage with people at the conferences. Okay, let's then move on to what we're going to do after the conference. So the conference is over, you had a great time. What do you do next? Okay, after the conference, very important, I want you to, within 48 hours, connect with the people that you met. If you utilize the strategy we just talked about, you should have got their contact information using the QR code from LinkedIn. So now you have their contact information. I want you to engage with them on LinkedIn within 48 hours. Now, when I say engage, I don't mean something as simple as going and clicking connect, period. That's generic. That shows no effort. I want you to step outside of that and do something a little bit extra and create a personalized message. The message should not be long, doesn't have to be overly elaborate, but most important, you want it to be specific and you want it to speak to the actual conversations that you had. So you can say something as simple as nice to meet you. I loved our discussion about fill in the blank. Number one, the actual connection shows that you are a true professional and that you are serious about networking, but going that extra mile shows that you really did enjoy the engagement, you enjoyed the conversation, and you want to add value to this person as well. Professionals, especially executives, recruiters, and industry leaders, hate people who not hate people, they hate the process of the cut and paste, the generic templates. You want to make sure you are being personalized in your connection requests and in your follow-up conversations so that these individuals know that you are truly meaning what you're saying and you actually have put in the effort in that connection to them. All right, now, these are the tips we discussed. I always like to leave the audience with, what can I do right now? Now, you may not want to be a speaker, you may not be ready for that, or you may not have a conference to go to right now. You don't have any plans specifically on the horizon for right now, but what can you do right now to get started in this, to get your networking opportunity, give it a jump start and get started? So let's talk about our call to action, what we're going to implement now right away to enhance our networking capabilities in the area of conferences. First thing we're going to do, we need to make sure we identify our target industry. For those of you who follow me, you'll see this is a theme. I've said this before. You need to have a target role that you're applying for when you're creating your resume and in your job search. So this idea carries over into the networking capabilities as well. You want to identify your target industry and take action. One of the greatest missteps you can make is trying to be everywhere doing everything. Not only is that time consuming, it creates a counterintuitive result for you because instead of becoming a subject matter expert, you're viewed as kind of a jack of all trades who just kind of is all over the place and is into every different industry. So it's important that you narrow your focus, and that's going to help you create yourself as a subject matter expert, and also it's going to help you narrow your job search as well. So we're going to do that. We're going to identify our target industry, and then we're going to take action. We're going to take action by actually doing the research for where the conferences are in our specific area and the industry we're interested in, using some of the tools and steps that I talked about in this video. That's the first thing that we're going to do to help enhance our networking capability. The second thing that I want you to do that can be done right away is creating that conference tracker. If for those of you who are actually in my program, my coaching program, I provide you with a branded tracker with drop-down menus and a lot of great features. So if that's something you're interested in, I actually have that in my program. If you're not in my program, you can create one just as well. But the key is you're creating it not for the bells and whistles and the pretty Canva designs. The key is this is going to be essential to your tracking capabilities for planning purposes, planning for actually taking the time off from your schedule, actually paying for the conference, traveling if you decide to go to a conference out of state or that's not in your immediate geographical area, or if you're actually planning on being a speaker, actually planning for those call for proposals, those deadlines for submissions in that category as well. Also, just like we talked about, going through LinkedIn and identifying conference opportunities based upon the activity of our peers and our colleagues on LinkedIn, the conference tracker is a great place to put that information. So using our example for the Illinois SHRM event, when I looked and I saw that the event had actually closed and it wasn't available for the current year, but I was interested in the next year, I can put on my tracker the website for that event, and I can put the date that I anticipate is going to open again. So that way, when I look at my tracker once a month or whatever frequency I decide, it'll be added there and I'll have total recall to remind myself to check back in on that event that I'm interested in. So for sure, create that conference tracker. And the third thing is that you can create right now is your elevator pitch. Honestly, this is something that you really need to have no matter where you go. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know when an opportunity is going to present itself. So you should always have an elevator pitch prepared no matter where you are. It could literally be walking down the street. It could be going to McDonald's. You never know when you're going to meet someone. So opportunities don't always present themselves twice. So be prepared when that opportunity presents itself so that you can convey who you are, what you do, and what you're actually looking for from that person or from the event, depending upon when you're actually preparing and presenting this pitch. Now, in closing, I would like to offer you guys a free gift. I always want to offer a gift for people showing up or watching the replay. And the free gift is that I have a networking conference checklist that I prepared. So if you go ahead and DM me the word networking and provide me with your email address, I will gladly send you that checklist. It will help you go through the things we discussed today, and it will help you stay on track with your networking plans for attending conferences. So in closing, I want you to remember, if you remember nothing else, remember it is time to get serious and think outside the box and step up your game when it comes to your career search. In every category, we need to go above and beyond and do what is outside of the norm to get noticed and to get the attention of recruiters and from the companies where we are interested in finding job opportunities. For those of you who are interested in working with me, I'm going to add a link for my actual coaching program. I'm also going to provide a link for those who may want to have a quick chat just to discuss your career options as well as receive a live demo of my coaching program. We can do that as well. But in closing, I just want to tell you guys to stay encouraged, believe in yourself, continue to be optimistic, and understand that you got this, and that job that you want and the career that you're seeking will come. Just put in the work and continue to be positive, optimistic, and don't just lead with effort, lead with strategy. Until next time, have a great day. Take care.